This talk is about Philippine Hokkien then and now. Can you just read the abstract? This presentation discusses the evolution of Philippine Hokkien, the language of the majority of the Chinese Filipinos, the Philippines and China, share a long history of trade and commerce. A number of Chinese traders called Sangleyes, they settled in the archipelago. During the Spanish colonial period, missionaries learned their language to facilitate evangelization, which resulted in the creation of philological materials such as grammars and dictionaries of Philippine Hokkien. The content of these sources will be compared to Proto-Southern Min Hokkien, reconstructed by Kwok of 2018 and modern Philippine Hokkien data. Through this approach, how the Hokkien language in the Philippines has developed is presented and which features, especially phonological, have changed or enumerated. On another note, a few Hokkien loanwords in Tagalog have been revisited and reassessed. Today's speaker, our import from Germany, his name is John Oliver Monghit. He's a doctor of research in Asian studies at Humboldt University of Berlin. He obtained his BA here. He has BA in Linguistics here at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and did an MA in Chinese language and literature at Hanyang University in Korea. South Korea. Throughout his academic career, he was awarded fully funded scholarship for the Chinese Scholarship Council, or CSC, the National Institute for International Education, NIIEDGKS, in the German Academic Exchange Service, or DAAD. With that, he has previously worked on Tagalog dialectology, grammaticalization, and Sino-Korean philology, while his current research focuses on Philippine Hokkien. Without further ado, help me welcome Mr. John Oliver Monghit.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Oliver Monghit. I was also like you, just wandering around UP. During my time, we still had Kasaan, the faculty center. So yeah, many things have changed around the campus, but the heart is still the same. Yeah, babalik pa sa UP. So thank you so much for to the department for letting me share a bit of my research. So yeah, as introduced by Sir Sini, I am doing my PhD in Asian Studies at Humboldt University of Berlin. So yeah, I will talk mainly English because yeah, I want to share this with other international friends. So yeah, and my journey started with Hokkien. I mean, when I was a kid, my grandmother had a Chinese friend, and then whenever we would hang out, our family with their family, I would hear them speaking Hokkien. So I think that left a big impression on me. And then when I entered university, I studied Chinese and Korean, specifically Mandarin. And then after doing my master's in Korea, I thought like maybe I should do something that's closer to home because I researched all Korean and Mandarin. So I was like, Filipino Hokkien is the sweetest spot for me. So I'm on my third year. And on my PhD, and then today I'm going to share a bit some preliminary findings I've had after delving some time with the manuscripts, and then also now I've just recently concluded my fieldwork here in the Philippines. That's why I'm here. So, any one of you familiar with MBT or Mokyong? Yeah, so if you don't know, these are Hokkien words that we see every day. Yeah. And here is our manuscript that I'll be sharing about you later. Does anyone here speak Hokkien? Any Hokkien speakers around in the house? So what our for today? So we have Hancha kumuha ng 학생들은 소원 들어주세요. Okay. And then, okay. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm first going to introduce what Philippine Hokkien is, but first we need to know some linguistic information about it. So we first, so the main languages, they belong under the Sino-Tibetan language family. Well, now we usually call them Trans-Himalayan language family. Yeah, I think Sino-Tibetan is a bit dated already. And then here's like the most common, under Old Chinese, you have Middle Chinese, but some linguists propose that Min languages are direct descendants of Old Chinese because of some archaic features that they have preserved. So we'll see later. So that's why like Min languages, like Hokkien, for example, they're very important because they reveal a lot of information about how Chinese was spoken thousands of years ago, which could not be seen in other varieties such as Mandarin, Hakka, Cantonese, etc. So Min languages are mainly spoken in Fujian, but also in other parts of Guangdong and Guangzhou province in China. So mainly we have inland Min and coastal Min. So two main groups of Min languages, and then under that we have Southern Min. But Southern Min, what do you call this? Barangi. Barangi. Actually, it's also a cluster of languages. So this is according to the Language Atlas of China in 1987. This is like a traditional view. So we have like four main varieties of Southern Min. So Chuanzhang, Tajian, Chaosheng, Leizhou. These are the Mandarin pronunciations, and then they have the character Pian, so which is like a cluster as well. So Chuanzhang Pian, Tajian Pian, Chaosheng Pian, Leizhou Pian, and then so what we call Hokkien is actually under Chuanzhang Pian. So if you can see, those are made up of two characters, so Chuan and Zhang, which is the name of the two main cities. What's the name? Here, wait, let's see. Here, Quanzhou and Zhangzhou. So, Quanzhou, Zhangzhou, then we have another big city, which is Shanghai. And then, if you're also into, so basically in Chinese linguistics we call Hokkien Chuanzhang Pian. But also some sources from in Taiwan specifically, they call Hokkien Hoklo. Right. This type of naming it was developed in Taiwan to refer to the Hokkien-speaking population. So yeah, but I think here in the Philippines not being used to refer to Hokkien. But what we use here in Southeast Asia as well, not only in the Philippines but also in Malaysia and Singapore, is Hokkien. Sometimes also called Hokkien or Hokkien-ese and Fujianhua. So interesting, Hokkien, it has the letter F, right? But actually in the language, there's no F sound. Yeah, just like Tagalog, yeah, parang Filipino yung word ng Filipino. Yung may F sa Tagalog. So yeah, weird, diba? So actually, that one came from the postal romanization system based on the Nanjing variety of Mandarin. So in the time, it was the standard Mandarin was not based on the Beijing variety of Mandarin, but from Nanjing or Nanking. So that's how we have Hokkien as the term. But yeah, if you read Hokkien in Hokkien, it's Hokkien. That's why. Mainly now mainly I use Hokkien in my studies, the term Hokkien, not Hokkien. But sometimes, for example, when I was looking for participants, like, meron ba kayo mag-Hokkien? That's how I would say it, since they wouldn't understand if you say, meron ba mag-Hokkien? It sounds, I think, very scientific. Like, meron ba kayo Filipino? Quite awkward also to say. So Hokkien is mainly used by, at least in the Philippines, by the Filipino-Chinese. But guys, remember, the Chinese community in the Philippines they're also very diverse. So they all come from other parts of China, not only Fujian. So they also come from Guangzhou, etc. And now we also have new migrants. So that's a very diverse community, but since majority came from this region of China, so that's why Hokkien became the more like the lingua franca as well in the community. So and then in modern Philippine Hokkien, they call Hokkien Nanlang. So as you can see, many Nanlang variations in name. So it can be Nanlang, 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 Nanlang. So yeah, so from Nanlang to Nanlang, you could see the many sound changes that have happened through the years. Right? So it technically means our people's speech. I have some informants telling me it's a bit racist. I don't know if you the other Filipino-Chinese share the same viewpoint because they're my sense of but nevertheless, Lanlang is very Philippine. It's a very Philippine name because other parts of Southeast Asia, they don't use Lanlang to refer to their language. Yeah. So very interesting. So, but the relations between Philippines and China, we have a long history of trade, etc., presented by some archaeological artifacts. Yeah, so this one is from Abra. And then, so our relationship with China has been there even before the Spaniards came. And then when they came here, we have these traders called Sangleyes or Sangleyes. So some sources would write Sangleyes, some sources would say Sangleyes, which, there were a lot of debate about where did this term come from, but because we have this master code here, and then, it shows a character, these two characters, Sangley or Sangley, which means frequently comes. Because normally these traders, they just come to the Philippines, and then trade, and then go back to China. So, but of course, some of them decided to stay and then intermarried, settled in the Philippines. And then mostly, guys, take note of this, most of the migrants were men. Men. So, okay. And then there was a time in the Spanish sources they would interchange Chino and Sangley. Chino, Sangley. But through the years, because you now have native, Philippine-born Chinese, so Sangley evolved to refer to them specifically. So intermarriage resulted in this group of people called the Mestizos de Sangley. So we have notable figures like Jose Rizal and Ragusa, they're Mestizos de Sangley. Yeah. But even though they have Chinese blood, based on my research, a lot of them didn't learn the language sadly. Yeah. Since, for example, in Cebu, the one I read about the history of Cebu, the Sangley in Cebu, they would adapt Cebuano, the mother tongue of their mother. So that's why I said that it's very important that most of the migrants were men, and then their descendants, since they had more time with their mother, so a lot of them did not speak the language, unfortunately. Which also could have an effect on how, because there's a big gap between the old form of Hokkien we have and the form we have now. Okay. So that's history. Okay. So, ayun, so for early Manila Hokkien, so this is what my professor termed the type of Hokkien spoken in the Philippines in the 17th century. That's described on the missionary sources. So when the Spaniards came, they had to preach, right? They had to evangelize the population. And then, so one target population nila is the Chinese. So they have to learn Hokkien. And it's very interesting because the missionary sources of Chinese in the Philippines, for example, this one, the Ate de Language Chochu, it's actually the first grammar written written about the Chinese language using Western linguistic traditions like ABC, because before that, like in China, they would just they have their own tradition, but it's the first time, at least the grammar for our Semitic language, it was made here in the Philippines and not in China. So yes, very galing. Actually, before this, the only one that's earlier than this one is a Latin Chinese dictionary, which is Mandarin, which is by Dirici, I think, an Italian priest. Yeah. So this one is yung mga 1620s. But that dictionary was like still in the 1500s. So yeah, but this was the first grammar of the Semitic language using Western grammar tradition. And also, right, if you know Doctrina Cristiana, right, we already just know the Tagalog version, but actually we have two versions. The one in Tagalog, Lengua Tagala, and this one in Lengua China, which is in Hokkien. So yeah, the first book in the Philippines is also Hokkien. Because why? Because the one in charge in book binding, the printing, were the Chinese. That's why, yeah. And then if you want to know more about the Doctrina Cristiana and then the general view of Chinese missionary source in the Philippines, I recommend Van Loon. He's a Dutch linguist, ethnologist. And then my professor wrote a book about the language Chochu is a language of the Sangleyes. So yeah, that's how I knew him. After that, let me contact him. So yeah, that's one tip if you want to study or pursue Tagalog studies. So and then besides that, we also have found we have found other missionary sources in the Philippines for Hokkien. So for example, it's a Diccionario Hispanico-Sinicum. This one, it was found in the Miguel de library at USC. And then, nakasulat pa doon like, vale muy poco, like, it values so little. Yeah, they didn't know. It's a very fake dictionary. It's what I read. Like, 3-volume dictionary siya. But it's more like a word list, honestly, because you have the Spanish entry word, so we have here Dios, and then you have the Chinese characters, for example, here, and then they would use the Hokkien pronunciation and then the Mandarin pronunciation. So yeah, so it's very helpful and it's very comprehensive. So because with the other ones, with these two, these are very short books. So I think most of my data comes from the dictionaries language. Yeah. But not all entries have Mandarin pronunciations, but almost all have Hokkien. Yeah. Very interesting. And then, ito naman, Dictionario Sino-Hispanico. So, in the first, you see, yung entry word ay Spanish. Dito naman, ay Chinese. So, and then the author grouped them into semantic fields. So, they say, these are the words for animals. So, yan, sumunod niya. And ito naman parang mga shapes, and then like adjectives, ganyan. So yun. And then, but this one, compared to the other one, they have sentences. So the other ones didn't have sentences, like this dictionary. And then, dito, phrases lang, short sentences. And then, this one, mainly Chinese characters. So, wala masyadong value gusto mo ng phonology. So, yeah. So, you have those. And then now, I'm part of this. I'm now employed by the university. I'm working as a research assistant for this project. It's called the EMHO, Early Manila Hokkien Project, were funded by the German German research site, research fund, research society, I think. It's the DFA, Deutsche Forschungsgemeinschaft. German Research Foundation, yeah. And then the Austrian Science Fund, we're transcribing this vocabulary de lengua Sangleyes por las letras de ABC. So, as you can see, actually, napakahirap ng document kasi the Spanish orthography, like, iba-iba spelling, tapos di mo lang word boundaries, tapos you just mix Hokkien, and then it also contains words in Tagalog, in Cebuano, and then even Nahuatl. So it's a very complex document, and then what we do is we transcribe, annotate, and translate. Yeah. So you translate to modern Spanish, to modern Hokkien conventions, and then to English. So yeah, this is very, hindi kaya ng ChatGPT. Hindi kaya ng AI. Yeah. But we could train. But it's very well documented. So yeah. But I'm not the one transcribing, it's my professor and another professor. My task is just to write my dissertation. But yeah, we're using TEI, text encoding initiative, so I think it might be helpful to the department because we have the archiving and documentation effort. So yeah, since this one is multilingual, I think maybe if we digitize other Philippine language sources, maybe we can refer to what we did. So okay. So yeah, nagugulo naman lahat. So this is what do we call this, guys? Pansit, diba? Okay. So one day, just hello. Hello. No, that's not. Hello. So one day, just randomly, checking that dictionary, and then I actually saw this. They put pansit under empanada. I was like, what? Empanada? Yeah. Yeah, because of the empanada. And then if you check empanadas, and then, so that's pansit. And then the third word is bakpao. So bakpao means like meat bun. So okay, so empanada nga, like you have something filled inside, like a meat bun. So I was like, bakit? Parang naging ito ang pansit natin. So technically, in China, they call punton, wonton, or dumplings, pansit. So yeah, that's one thing. So like, you see, like change na yung meaning ng pansit from dumplings to noodles, stir-fried noodles. And then also in Indonesia, this is their pangsit, also dumplings and yeah, so fried dumplings. Ang original meaning ng pansit, or yeah, dumplings in general. Yeah. And this pansit is also it's also originated from that pansit term in Hokkien. But there's another theory, pansit. They said it means convenient food, right? But at least from the missionary sources we have, it means dumpling and kinch in Mandarin. But also very interesting, this character, because actually the original meaning is like. Alam mo sa mga Chinese houses, they have like some boards written, like, yung pintuan, di ba? Tapos may character. Yeah, that's the original meaning of the character. Because this is like the book, like the thing, and then this says like the door itself. So ayun, so paano naging dumpling yung gano'n? But it also has two pronunciations, at least in Mandarin, it's Pian and Pian in Mandarin. So pwede siyang PN, pwede PN. So it's, and then the PN, it also means to like, it used to refer to small things, like small, what do you call it? Small boat. So maybe sit, maliit yung dog, maybe small food, kasi the sit means to eat. So maybe that could explain why. But they said that the pancit was used a lot in the Ming Dynasty to refer to dumplings. Until naging one, which where we got wonton. But in China, actually, the Chinese, they say, oh, what's the difference between jiaozi and then wonton? Like, the wonton have broth, yung jiaozi wala. Yeah. So, this technicality is so food. But, yes. Language and food, very interesting topic. And then, guys, I think, ay yung mga Gen Z na yung mga tao dito, hindi na alam yung losyang. Alam niyo pa ba yun? Mukha kang losyang. Di ba? Feeling ko ba? Alam niyo ba? Okay, so lost. And then there's this one theory that says it's from lost young. So, do you think it's correct or no? So, for me, I just been randomly checking the manuscripts, and then I stumbled upon viejo, right? So, which means old in Spanish. So, see, like, I thought they have this entry, which is los young. So, actually, los young is not from from North Yang, but it's from Hokkien. It's a borrowing from Hokkien, as using the manuscript as our evidence. So yung knowing matanda, old, and then Siang means like appearance. Yeah. I don't think it's correct, but yeah. So North Yang, we have, that's a Hokkien loanword. And then, I'm just checking the dictionary yung Hispanic ko. So yeah, that one has phrases and sentences. So for example here, please teach me Chinese. So but basically it uses, for me what's interesting, there are two things that are very interesting here. First one is the word for to speak, which is tama, this one, TANN 3. So guys, pag pinakita kayo dalawang N, it means nasalization. So tama din yan. So, and because here, this one is only mainly used now in Teochew, not anymore in Hokkien varieties. But because now we have Kong and what's Kong and for to speak. Yeah, Kong or like what's the Hokkien for sure? Say, yeah. So we only have those two verbs to speak, but and that time also you use but now it died out. So yeah, Hokkien then and now. And then also another interesting is the use of Tang Wen, so which means the language of the Tang people. So as you know, I mean the Chinese call themselves a lot of names, but they really admire the Tang dynasty because, like, you know, this is an age of prosperity, etc. So very interesting. This time, at least in the Philippines, they refer to themselves as Tang Lang. Yeah, so the Tang people. I think not only you would only hear this in Singapore and in Malaysia, and then but Tang Lang, it's used also used a lot by other Southern Chinese varieties, like in Cantonese or Hakka people. It also refers to themselves like the Tang people, and also like I remember there was one time in the Philippines there was an issue about the name of the Chinatown in Chinese, right? Yeah, because in other places for Tang Renjie, So it's like the street of the Tang people. But here they changed to Zhongguosheng, which is like China town. So I think some Filipino-Chinese said, no, we should have used Tanglang, that currency. Yeah, they kind of connote a bit in Zhongguo, we kind of political, so yeah. But yeah, I don't think now modern Filipino speakers would say, oh, Wasi Tanglang, Wasi Tanglang. I think it's weird. So yeah, so Hokkien then and now. So you see how the language has changed over 400 years. And then here also I found some lexical items, some lexical innovations. For example, for the interrogative pronouns who and what. So here they would say si tui and si. But now in Philippine Hokkien they would say siya and siya. So but yeah, another change in the language. So far my questions are, can everyone can follow? Yeah. This is not too over like draining or something. I will have questions, okay. And then but now I wanna shift. So we have some lexical and semantic innovations, developments in Philippine Hokkien. But now I want to focus on phonology since actually that's the focus of my research. But yeah, this is just the preliminary results that I have since medyo complex. I need data to do everything. So so first I will start with the initials. So basically in Chinese, a syllable in this group is divided by initials, and then you have the vowels, or the finals. So I'll first start with initials, basically the consonants that would start a syllable. And in Chinese, normally a syllable is a word. Normally, but not all the time. So here, as you can see, meron P, T, B, T, T, A, T, G, and K in, typo yung last. That was funny sense. Anyway, so for example, we have pe, which are both pe in modern and earlier Middle Hokkien, then pue and pe, and then for rice you have b. Okay, so that's b, and then bua and bua, and then t, the same, cow, and then interesting word for to go is cool, but in modern Filipino it's key, and then bua and ho. So yeah, usually mga 95% medyo parehas naman ang dalawang varieties. So yeah. And then, but dito tayo nagkakatalo sa mga nasal initials. Actually, in Hokkien, you will find there is a variation between the nasal sounds. So nasal sounds are the words you pronounce with your nose, like or and And then you also have the stops. So the B, T, and K. But in Hokkien, as you can see, ito yung napansin nyo, walang D. So meron kang B, meron kang G, pero walang D. May puwang siya. So in those series, you have L instead. So yeah, you can see here there's a variation. And then I refer to the Proto-Southern Min reconstruction, for example, for the I, mak, you can say bak, but also the same initial also yielded mue and pe. So yeah. And then for N as well, you have lam, okay, L, but the same initial, nyo and yung. So yeah, N na naman. So yung makita nyo, the same nasal initials will have two reflexes, the stop and then the nasal, voice stop and the nasal. And then here, for example, with the velar nasal, so you have gu and gu, okay, same word for cow, but actually, if you think about it, for example, actually in Chinese, in a lot of phonetic varieties, a lot of characters have two readings at least. You have the literary reading and the colloquial reading. So, for example, for five, it has two readings. It's mo or in early Middle Hokkien, it could be mo and go. And in modern Hokkien, these different O's, you can only listen with the tone change, for example, go and go. But I've noticed, the nasal shows more in the literary readings with the other data I have, and then the stops, the plosive ones, they show more in the colloquial stratum of the text form. And also, Norman, Jerry Norman, a very famous American linguist, he proposed like meron kasing nasal initials na may breathing articulation sa main languages. So, besides the usual nasal sounds, you have H, like the breathing articulation. And this also yielded into different reflexes. For example, for the M, for the palatal breathing nasal, you have stop and then stop and nasal. So the, for example, bue, or then mui, or right? And then for this one, for meat, it's interesting because it's in the missionary sources, they would write as beg. But in modern transcript, or like the modern romanization styles of Hokkien, there is no ek syllable. It should be ik. Yeah, if you saw this to Taiwan, linguistic Taiwan, they say, no, that's not beg, it should be big or yik, yip, yik. But yeah, but I'm just presenting you how it was written at that time. So beg. And then for the alveolar nasal, you have N and H. Yeah, that's why the current way the way the application was reconstructed because of the H reflex of the same word. So yeah, and then the same with the velar nasal. So this is one thing I have to think about. Yeah, but it's there. So basically, Proto-Southern Min have two nasals. They have velar articulation and then the usual nasal, which both change to either full stop, voice stop, or nasal, or minsan may H pa, na reflex. So yeah. And then, ito naman, from the Proto-Southern Min, D, in early Hokkien, consistent na J sound siya. So for example, for day, jit. So jit. You will get that in other Hokkien varieties. Jit. Or like for character, T. In Korean, ja. Ja. Right? But in modern Philippine Hokkien, yeah, all these, I mean, some people would say it could be L, but for me, yeah, a lot of, yeah, it's closer to a D. So, Dio, G, D, G, D. And, but some people with the modern Hokkien romanization system, they would insist putting an L here. But actually, I'm like, yeah, like, we actually retained it's not that, because yeah, the same with this, then the other one's the L, so with the variation. So, for example, for spicy, these are my Manila Hokkien, all have L, but in modern Philippine Hokkien that I've with my fieldwork and other like secondary sources, it's a D, it's an L, it's an both. So for example, for you, pwedeng D, pwedeng D. Yeah. But this the LD alteration is not only present in Southern Min, it can also be found in other synetic varieties like in Hakka, in Kajahwa, yeah. They have this LD alteration as well. So but yeah, I think D is very attractive to Filipino Hokkien speakers now because kasi nga B and G, you have a gap. I think that's my analysis. So that's why D is getting it's getting stronger. So and then for Proto-Southern Min, in Chinese English we call it like zero initial. Only one reconstruction put the zero initial as a global stop. Yeah. But actually in a lot of Semitic languages that they say I, you can say it with a global stop, you can say it without. There's no change in meaning. Yeah. So I also share the same for at least in early Manila Hokkien. Like I don't think it's compulsory to reconstruct a global stop in the beginning of a syllable. But with my field work, a lot of my consultants would have a global stop in the beginning. So for example, like when you say u instead of u, you say e instead of e. Right? Instead of or like even in the language when I was like learning on ue, like oe, like instead of learning on we, you say ue. Yeah, right? Right? Yeah. So that's another innovation. The presence of glottal stuff, which I think right we could attribute it to like the phonotactics of like Tagalog of Philippine languages, since in Philippine languages, a lot, I don't know in every Philippine language, but in Tagalog and Cebuano, which are the dominating languages, where these Hokkien speakers live, you have the glottal stop in the beginning of a syllable if there is no other English one. So, and then, so in Hokkien, you also have and so this this alveolar, yes, alveolar sound. So when I have tap, like for 10, like shift in Korean tap and su and then say or swear. But these sounds they change into alveolatal sounds when followed by an I. So the high vowel. So for example, you say jia, so they become this and then okay, so jia, jia, and then asyo. But according to Gonzalez and Lim, a lot of modern Philippine Hokkien speakers, instead of changing them to alveolatal, they would change them to post-alveolar. So basically how we use English in Tagalog, like instead of chi, you have chi, right? Very subtle, but yeah, different articulation. And this is my age for it. Sorry. Yeah. So for example, instead of chia, they will say cha, chia. Sometimes they don't even put the glide chia, but according to Gonzalez, they will like cha as well, or like also like thank you. Okay, some speakers will say to xia, so sh, but some speakers will say xia or sha. So yeah, you can see like the influence of the other languages in the Philippines, right? They influence modern Philippine Hokkien. So and then for the vowels, so we have e, and then u, and then a, o, a, and a, right? So I've yung vowels. But may mga contentions din sa iba. So, for example, this by Vanderloon and Closer, sa parang Vanderloon, may and then A. But for Closer, for him, reconstruction niya, may A, but they're just alum, and then you have another nasal A, but a bit higher, and then an open O. And then, so yun yung contention dito kay Vanderloon and Closer for Philippine Hokkien. I still don't know what's my position. So, I still need to check their, kasi the thing with Vanderloon, for example, is just a journal article and he didn't provide like specific examples where he got those. Yeah, so I have to look at his data. And then for Closer, yeah, also need to check. And then for modern Philippine Hokkien, Rosales and Star, for example, it's interesting because you now have an nasalized U na wala dun sa early Middle Hokkien. And then you also have two additional vowels, which I think is like E and then U is like the lax vowels, which I think maybe influence Philippine languages. So yeah. And but there's also another character that the Rosales and Star in the main group, which is like the nasalized O. Like, is there Hokkien speakers? Meron bang O na ending in your the O, like O. Yeah, so I need to check on that. Yeah. Yeah, that's not followed. And the initial is not a nasal as well. Because like kung kasi the thing with Hokkien, if you have a nasal initial, for example, you have M, N, G, let's say R. Automatically, the nasal here, the vowel here becomes nasalized, diba? So you look at this M, say mom, right? So I want to ask if there's an O nasalized, O nasalized, that's not N, that doesn't start with that nasal. Let's say with, let's say O. Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't know why Gonzalez and Star did not put an nasalized O in their vowel chart. So yeah, it's one thing to add. See, that's why we have to do, we check for everything. Yeah. So okay, so and then also that O is not also present in early Middle Hokkien, as you can see, right? Yeah, there's no nasalized O. So yeah. Okay, and then for the final, I didn't want to elaborate because actually that's another beast in Hokkien, the final sounds, because their initials are quite uniform, but the finals didn't kakatalo. But at least in Hokkien you have PTK at the end, so PTK, and then the M, N, and G, so complete naman as the end of the syllable. But the thing is, I don't know why the two European linguists, I'm sorry, did not reconstruct. I did not suggest of like putting the glottal stop. But as you can see, right, meron akong example na glottal stop yung dulo, yung tiya. I don't know why they didn't put like the ending with the glottal. So yeah, I don't know. Is the the blatant disregard for the glottal stop? Yeah, it's a very poor sound. And for me, like as a Filipino, yeah, glottal stop for the way. So yeah, yes. So right. So I'm going to add that in the discussion. But besides this, there's also here two like two endings that are quite different in the two varieties. So for example, in early Manila Hokkien, the ik, reconstructed ik, in early Manila Hokkien it's ek. For example, 100 million, and if you speak Korean, it's ok, right? In Japanese, iku. Yeah, iku. Yeah. And then for color, sek, the same. But in modern Philippine Hokkien, this is yak and yak. Right? But my consultants in Davao, they don't pronounce it like yak. They would pronounce actually egg as well. Like for example, yung white, my consultants in Davao would say pek. They will be pek. They will be pek for instead of being black. So yeah, they were interesting when I was in Davao. I didn't expect those. Or some of them would say sek instead of siak. Or some speakers always say siak, like that in Davao. So you're very interesting. Is this a remnant from the old Philippine Hokkien? I don't know, but we can propose. Right? Also, this one I think a while ago, right? So, in early Manila Hokkien, usually yung as well retained, but in modern Philippine Hokkien, it's yung. So you have get new, and then change soda in modern. In early Manila Hokkien, it's yung, but here it's yung in modern. So yeah, these two kind of quite different in the two varieties. But yeah, I still need to check the other ones. Kasi baka naman, I mean, even though the two varieties might share the same finals, but they might appear in different environments, like the same character. Yeah. So I will check with them. So and then one of the last parts is like the tones. So in Middle Chinese, you have 4 tone classes. So I will read them in Mandarin. So Kim, Shang, Chu, Ru. Okay. And in these two, later, diverge pa sila. So you have the dark and bright. What's that? So the dark goes for the voiceless stops. Yung isya nila. Tapos kung voice, naging bright sila. So for example, so 4 times 2, so 8. So you have level even dark, level tone, bright level tone, rising dark tone, bright dark tone, etc. That's how we, at least in the traditional Chinese linguistic tradition, that's how we identify the tones, right? Also in describing the tones of modern varieties. So at least in early Manila Hokkien, di ba, mayroon ang dark and bright ng siyang, like rising tone, nag-merge siyang sila. Yeah. Pero sa modern Philippine Hokkien, yung dalawang underparting, the two tone classes of departing also merge, but only in the citation tone. So what do I mean with the citation? And so in Hokkien, so let's say you have person, like person lang. This tone. Right. So what's the citation tone is the tone in isolation. Like siya lang. Or pag siya lang sa end of the word. Philippine lang. Right? Siya lang sa dulo. Philippine lang. Sige lang. This person. Pero kapag hindi na, pag may tone sandi na, nangyari sa Hokkien, for example, kapag hindi siya yung nasa dulo ng word. So, for example, yung name ng language, like land lang, Diba, hindi siya yung tulo, hindi siya within lang. So, dito, yung is na lang, ay,
Paging flat.
flat lang. Yan lang. Yan lang.
Lang eh. So, flat.
Lang, okay. Diba? 3 years na rin na ito kaya kasi so in Hokkien, diba, yun, may tone changes pa. So, for modern Philippine Hokkien, yeah, the citation tone for the departing tone, they have the same value. Pero pag nag-tone change na, okay ba sila ng manifestation? So, doon lang sila nag-merge. So, unlike for early Manila Hokkien, yeah, I mean, you don't have evidence really, but we have some descriptions of the tone written by the friars. So, ayun. Actually, the professor will present his take on this. But also, these are just categories, guys. So, I mean, I could pronounce the characters in modern Philippine Hokkien. For example, here, diba? 5-5. Like you, ganyan. Pero, hindi ibig sabihin, hindi na translation niya in 24. Kasi they could belong to the same tonal category, but their values, their tonal values, how they're really spoken, could be different. Yeah. So very, very different. So for example, like me now, I'm learning Taiwanese Hokkien. Let's say fifth tone, it could be different. Right? Or like, yeah. For example, the second tone in here in Manila is like T, but in Taiwan it's T. Right. So it's a rising. Dito rising yung second tone, T. 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 Pero sa Taiwan, T. Falling. So yeah. But but actually, if you look on the description of early Manila Hokkien, very similar sa Dangzhou tones din talaga. So yeah. And then for this one, yeah, very similar to Zhengzhou tones. So yeah. So maybe in the future, I can assume when I read early Manila Hokkien, I could use Zhengzhou tone values. And okay, then maybe one of the last slide. So why? So ano ba yun? Like why? Why do we have these things, right? Changes. So for me, I just contemplated a bit, and then I propose like two main things. You know, you cannot really, at least for me, like the language, like for example, number one, all of us, like besides change, movement is constant in this world. That's what I think. Right? People go around, right? Diba? And then anti-immigration policies sa Europe. Yeah, may anti-immigration, but like, oh, doctor, like, come on. Ever since the human race has begun, we've always been migrating, you know, we interact with others. So, and with that, you know, language changes. And number one, you can see, so right, diba, meron ng Zhengzhou and Zhengzhou accent. So, yeah, the data suggests from mainly Zhengzhou based, yung Philippine Hokkien in Zhengzhou. So, like, why? Because, of course, dati kasi, a lot of migrants came from Zhengzhou. Then later on, yeah, we now have migrants from Zhengzhou and also from Xiamen, which changed the linguistic makeup of the Philippines. And number two, I put genocide. Kasi the Spanish colonial government did a lot of massacres to the Parian. The Parian is like the marketplace during the time. And then, yeah, they really did a lot of attacks, and many of these early Manila Hokkien speakers died. Of course, with them, the language died. And then you have the newcomers. So, yeah. And then also, in my field work in Cebu and in Davao, for example, a lot of them shared histories during their families during World War II. A lot of their relatives died as well, were killed during the war. So, yeah. Hey, yeah. And I think that affects the linguistic vitality of the language. Right? Sure, wala akong speakers. Kung pinapatay, di wala. Diba? And then last, yeah, intermarriage, I think is also a big factor since a lot of the speakers, very non-Hokkien speaking. So yeah. And then lastly, also we can attribute, especially modern Philippine Hokkien, with contact. And also actually, the early Manila Hokkien, there are also two different takes. So for example, my professor, for him, early Manila Hokkien was also a contact variety. Since for example, the one I said, the tama, right, it's not present in other Hokkienans. And it also has some weird reflexes that's unexpected. So this could be a cause of, contact here in the Philippines. Kasi nga, the Chinese here did not only come from a single place in China. Yeah. But Kwok, he's a Hong Kong linguist, he said, no, it's maybe Changzhou. So yun. But also yeah, so we have here everlasting contact, right, which affects the linguistic makeup of the language. So these are the references, and yeah, that's my presentation.
Thank you very much, Oliver, for giving us this very insightful talk. We learned a lot, me especially. Would like to acknowledge the presence of our chair from the Department of Linguistics, and also the faculty members here all from Linguistics. And also, we have a group from the symposium who were here last year. They're here today. Sila sa likod sila. I think they will have a lot of questions in a bit. They are the authorities here. Chair.
Mic for Q&A.
The floor is now open for questions. Magtanong po tayo. Libre. Libre lang tanong. May libre nga tanong. LBs for those who need. So, mauna ako. Si Martin, maraming tanong yan. Some of these are pretty basic, but I just want to hear it. Could you differentiate the difference of Manakwe, Hokkien-kwe, Manakwe, Hokkaglish?
Oh, okay. Ano ulit sir?
Manakwe, Hokkien-kwe.
Okay.
Amoy, Amoy, because we say like Hokkien, and then Amoy Chinese, or Shaman na Chinese, Manakwe, and then Hokkaglish.
So, yeah, for me, I treat Manakwe as a group of languages. Yeah, kasi like, it's actually meron varieties. And then, sometimes, for example, if you know Hainan, like the Hainan Island in China, Hainan, they have Hainan and Kwok, and then there's also a type of Southern Min that they also call that Manakwe, right? So, yeah, so you can see like Manakwe is a bigger term, Kwok, and then what's the next one? And then third for the Lanakwe is the local term for here in the Philippines to refer to Hokkien. Yeah, very local term. And then Hokkaglish. Aha. Okay. With Hokkaglish, actually, if you read like Will for Gonzalez' work, his works differentiates Philippine Hokkien and Lanangwe. And for him, yeah, let's say you have a speaker, number you, or for example, Sir CD, for him, he speaks Philippine Hokkien and Hokkaglish/Lanangwe. But for me, I don't subscribe to that idea because I think Hokkaglish is more like social linguistic phenomenon. which is like, code switching. I mean, like, I don't know, for you guys, do you speak Tagalog or you speak Taglish? What's your native tongue? I mean, for me, I consider myself Tagalog speaker. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a more of a performative thing, the code switching. But I would also understand this point of view. But at least for my research, if someone would argue, I would just say, I just studied the semantic components of language. Because that's how it describes it there. He says like, oh, these are the Chinese, like, Hokkien substrate. They have the English. Then since he works in a contact kind of framework. So that. But for me, at least this one, I say, I subscribe to the idea that, like, for me it's interesting because he also said like, oh, my church Hokkien. He says like, oh, that's very church Hokkien. And I was like, but that's still Hokkien. Like, for me, it's like both, it's the one side of a box, right? So we have English, church Hokkien. For me, these are just Hokkien. You have registers, right? In any language, you have Keg or in other languages, or Ama, ganyan, or Jeje, Bekimon. Yeah, I don't think these are languages, but they're more like a social linguistic phenomenon. But some people are very like, curious, like, no, that's not Lanang way. Right? Yeah, some are very curious then. So.
Hi, so good afternoon. First of all, thank you for the talk. So my question is, so I saw the, vast comparisons, very rich comparisons from your research. And given that, it begs the question why, I noticed me and most of the audience is probably not that familiar with Hokkien, so to me, there's more of a question, why do these changes happen? And towards the end of the talk, you mentioned change, and that change is natural. And I also think change is interesting to study because there are factors that catalyze the change. And so my question is, what do you think are your insights on what could have catalyzed these changes in Hokkien phonology?
Catalyze. Well, besides of what I mentioned, I think a big factor in economic change is like, for example, education, right? Like if you're being schooled in the language, because I've noticed, for example, I've met speakers who are like 72 years old, and then they're very good at Hokkien, very very good because they were schooled in Hokkien during their time, like for example, in Davao, he recalled to me like in the morning they took classes in English, and then almost all of the same subjects in the afternoon in Hokkien or in Chinese Mandarin. Yeah. So I think education, is a big catalyst then, and then besides exposure other languages, and then or maybe as well like exposure like to the community, because I've noticed then like because in these regions I visited, like for me yung Davao like Manila, the community is very big. So I think let's say you have 10 Chinese Filipinos, maybe half would be like more Filipinos, more daming Filipino friends, and half would be like, no, I only have this circle. Yeah, and then I think like who we interact with is a big factor with that, because when you bounce into Davao, wala na ako makausap, or some consultant even here, wala na ako makausap eh. Of course, that affects like their language production, and then how it's they talk now. Yeah, so I think could be happening.
My question is because of my ignorance, because when you showed the Spanish priest who categorized and who made a manuscript of dictionary, because during that time it should be Qing Dynasty, right? Or is it before Qing Dynasty?
I think Min.
Ming.
Yeah, because in the dictionary here, they will even call China like Ten Yongbu, like Ta Ming Guo, like the main country. But I'm not sure. I need to check.
Because if it's Ming Dynasty, the Chinese they used to speak should be, is it different from Mandarin of Qing Dynasty? Because Mandarin became like the mainstream of Chinese language in the mainland. But if it's Ming Dynasty, did you find any differences in tones or choice of descriptions?
For Mandarin or for Hokkien? Mandarin. So during this time this is called Old Mandarin actually. So from Yuan Dynasty, so Yuan, Ming, Qing, like Won Yong, Won Yong Tong. So this time, this part of the Chinese language was termed as early Mandarin, like Zhao Qi Guan Hua, Tou Qi Guan Hua. So I think I haven't really touched upon the Mandarin readings because actually some of them are also very weird. For example, for PNC, actually I omitted it, but in the Mandarin transcription they also put seed, which is weird because in modern Mandarin at least, sure. So
susulat nila kung saan tapos naghanap sa cover by Chinese characters.
yeah, I think some have noticed like some of the Mandarin pronunciations here have some maybe overcorrection and some influence of Hokkien. But it's interesting for me, I think it proves that even that time, Mandarin still had some prestige already in the community, and even though, yeah. So Mandarin always in there, I think, yeah. Yeah. But during the time, the Mandarin was Nanking accent, the Nanking class, so it's not Beijing class.
Yeah, so first, before I get into my question, I would also like to add something. So you were talking about language exchange, right? And so one of the factors was, for example, there were people from different regions of Fujian. So, for example, my Chinese side came from Xiamen, and they would usually speak with like the Xiamen dialect, but instead they ended up picking up like the tones of the Xinjiang dialect. So instead of us saying, like, for example, like the Chinese dialect, normally in Xiamen they would say like the ku. So you see that the ku is like a high falling tone, but then since the Xiamen people were adapting to the majority Xinjiang speakers, they would say like the ku, so the ku becomes a high flat tone instead. So I was also wondering as well, this is my question, were you able to factor in, for example, aside from like the language changes, how these different Hokkien groups, or for example, the Qinmen, Twinshou, Xinjiang, and Xiamen speakers were able to influence each other. And for example, these regional changes, like for example, Cebu has more of the like Hanbong Sek instead of Hanbong Xia. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The thing is, like, yeah, as you mentioned, like, I met also a lot of families which have, let's say, their mother's side is from this side of China, and then the father's side is from this side. So, yeah, even in the family alone, like some of my consultants say, oh, my father says it like this, but my mom says it like this. or even sometimes in the same individual, I've noticed they would use either of the two variations. So, but I think I've noticed some. I've noticed, for example, I think one time in the group chat of our group chat, like the word for but, I mean but like pero, in cool like that. But my Davao consultant, the 72 years old, he told me, no, I say mahok. So he said, he says ma. And I'm like, I don't know where he got that from. But it's hard to determine, number one, which dialect affects the other dialect, number one. And yeah, it's hard to pinpoint which one is which, because it could have been like the contact happened there in China and they just, or dito talaga ng contact, but manifest change. And then, but so far, I will categorize Manila, like if there's Philippine Hokkien, so Manila is like a separate branch, and for me, I will group Cebu and Davao at least quite the same. But I've also noticed some differences between Cebu and Davao, for example. So for example, here and in Cebu, we say ya, but in Davao, they will say ah. Like for the adverb, we say oh ya ho jia, they will say ah ho jia. And my consultant said, I thought it's just like a prefix or something already. You say ah na lang. But I'm like, no, that's from ya. Like, okay. So that's one thing I've noticed. But also, I don't know, here do Hokkien figures here use tin as well? Tin. Oh, tin, okay. Because I only read in Cebu, my consultants in Cebu, they're like saying tin every time. They don't like saying yeah. But yeah, what more? And then it's very common also in Davao, this oi change from we to oi. Because I checked other Hokkien varieties, there's no reflex of oi. There's no oi. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is like a local innovation of Hokkien. And I know, and for me, I think it's an innovation because the speakers know this is way. You ask them, say it slowly, they were like, way. But in rapid speech, they were like, oi. Suddenly, wait. Or like other examples would be like, swe, they would say soy. For many, or like kue, which is like chicken, they would say koi. Or for shoes, instead of we as well, they would say oi. So I found that a lot down there, which I'm like, no, they don't do that in Manila. I think it's very weird. Then also this nan. I've only heard nan there. I don't think here in Manila you say nan. I'm going to go. So, for weeks.
Some people are called CNN Chairman now. CNN Chairman. The TDK CNN.
So those, with grammar I haven't found, because I'm not concentrating on grammar. But my one young Cebu speaker, Hokkien speaker, would use ki for perfective aspect. So wakitya for his I've eaten. Oh. Like anything, I'm like, can you remove ki? I'm like, no, that's wrong. Okay. But I need to check on that.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Before you go, on the walls, you will see out QR codes. May libre certificate. But you have to do the evaluations. And also, we would like to invite you to attend next week's installment of the LSLS, the Linguistics Special Lecture Series, featuring Songkong Lee on the phonetics of Kapampangan. The LSLS will be on March 11th, Tuesday, 4 p.m. here also at CSSP Health and Wellness Center. We'd also like to thank Linguistics Department, which always lends a big helping hand to the Chinese-speaking group. Hokkien is a dying language, but we have some group here na tinulungan ng linguistics last year in Lanang that one of you're saying, which had the very first symposium. So magkakaroon ng second sa July. Sa ibang lugar naman, pero okay lang. On behalf of the UP Linguistics, Department of Linguistics, we would like to present this certificate of appreciation to John Oliver Monghit for delivering the lecture Philippine Hokkien Then and Now, held on the 5th of March of this year as part of the Linguistics Special Lecture Series LSLS of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, the Department of Linguistics, signed by Chairperson Maria Cristina Daliego, PhD, UP Department of Linguistics. So, Chair. So, magandang araw po ulit at maraming salamat.